Okay, hello everyone, and I was thinking of maybe showing you guys the post process of how I did the photograph I took in the previous video. So here's the raw footage and here's the end result. So I'm just going to walk you through roughly how I was thinking and what I eventually did to get to that point and also why I did it. So I am in the develop section of Lightroom and I have reset everything here. So in general, the first thing I do is that I like to correct for the lens, which is default for me here, and I also remove the chromatic aberration that this lens can have. It's not much, but it can have maybe a little if you really zoom in. And as you can see, it's pin sharp, although I was on a bridge that shook a lot due to trains and pedestrians and cars. And this was during 30 seconds at f11 ISO 1050, and it was at 50 millimeters. I was using the 2470 f2.8 L series 2 lens from Canon. And well, basically what I was aiming for was the pink skies, because I saw that this cloud coverage was pretty high, and I also saw that in the horizon there was a gap in the clouds, and I was thinking that it's probably gonna make these clouds lit up in pink. And well, as you can see here in the image, they kinda did. They also tend to move towards the golden yellowish color cast, and if I just increase the saturation, you can see that it's kind of like both. So I could go either way, but since I wanted to go towards the pink, I am just going towards that. So first of all, the main subject is pretty dark, so I have to light that one up a little bit to put some focus on that one, and I just do it by bumping up the shadows a little bit. This is 100%, it's too much, so I'm just going somewhere around there. And then we have this bright spot over here. This is actually not the final image that I post-processed, but I'm just using this for the sake of this tutorial. But this part here is way too bright. It draws the eyes towards here together with these white boats. It's a really bright area here that takes too much attention. So I'm just going to pull down the highlights probably all the way down to the bottom, just to remove some of that brightness there. And that of course just darkens up the entire photograph, so I'm just going to bump up the exposure a little bit, just trying to even things out, like so. So what I would want to work here a little bit more is, well, the exposure is one thing, but there's also the colors and the color cast. As I mentioned, I could either go towards the golden yellowish side, or I could go towards the pink side, and I kind of like this color theme more, so I decided to go in this direction. And so first things first, I need to increase the saturation a little bit just to make the image pop a little bit more, and then I'm just going to tint the image a little bit towards the red or magenta side, but not that much. I'm not really there yet. So the next thing I want to do is address all this yellow, and I'm doing this in the hue color settings here, picking orange, and I'm just sliding all the yellows towards the red or the pink side, which is where I want to have them. Also, I don't want them to be that prominent, so I'm just toning them down a little bit. And the blues up here are also something that I would like to address, so I'm just going towards the blues and see what happens if I bump them towards the pinkish purplish side as well. And that is pretty good balancing, just maybe a tad more brightness on that one. So something like that, just trying to balance the image out a little bit, and maybe even a little bit more by taking the purple ones, putting them towards the pink, so I get a little bit better of gradient here. Okay, so next up is my main subject. This one needs to be lit up a little bit more, so I'm just going to use 2 radial gradients basically. One, and just pump up the exposure just a little. Oh, that's not good at all. No. The feathering is way too bad for that one. So something like that. And there we are. And I'm just going to bump that up a little bit. So just a little bit of brightness, not too much, because that is really going to mess it up, and just tone down the contrast a little bit, and also add some shadows. I'm being really careful here, so I don't overdo it, because this is really sensitive work. And then I'm just going to do the same thing for the tower here, and just put that one and that one together will work pretty good, like so. Yeah, and this one needs to be a little bit adjusted, just a little bit more, because it has some issues here. Now where did it go? Oh, there and there, because you can see that the sky is being affected by that one, so I don't want that. Like so. All right, so this is good enough. I could increase the exposure just a tad more, like so, because what I'm going to do now is that I am going to select the sky. Now normally I would have done this using a radial gradient, but I can cheat a little bit, because these new Lightroom versions have the option of selecting the sky, and I could maybe even select the subject, but I chose to do it with 2 radial gradients. But let's try sky, and you can see it's pretty good at selecting the sky. If I just bump up the exposure, you can see that it is really accurate. So I could go for either a bit of a dramatic sky, or a bit more desaturated sky, but I kind of like the drama, so I'm just going to go a little bit more towards the pinkish side, and add some more contrast, and let's see if I tone down the highlights a little bit more, and of course the saturation, because the colors are the important ones here, but not too much, because this area here is really burning out the entire image. Maybe I should even crop that part out, because it is really taking over this frame, this particular frame. As I said, I wasn't using that frame in the final image. No, I am doing. So yeah, so this part is kind of blowing out a little bit too much. Maybe I could even just add a small radial gradient here to try and address that specific part of the sky by just toning down the highlights, like so. And maybe going to the luminance part of the yellows and toning them down as well, and removing some of the saturation there. So I'm just removing a lot of the effects that sunset had. All right, so yeah, this is basically the final image. I mean, I tweaked it a little bit more, and I was a little bit more careful and picky with how I chose the colors and what I did with the colors, but all in all, this is basically the image that you see. So there are not that many crazy edits on this photograph. I kind of liked it as it was. I just wanted a bit more pop from the colors and a bit more balance on the exposure. But all in all, this is basically the image that I turned up with. And yeah, in the final image I also removed this construction work because they were not pretty to look at, and unfortunately I removed this tower here because this is a piece of tower that I removed totally and just added the roof here. But yeah, that's what you get sometimes. I couldn't control the construction. But yeah, so this would be the final image. Maybe I would crop it down a little bit, and I would probably go for a 2:3 aspect ratio, just to, oh no, not a 2:3, 4:3 aspect ratio, just to make it a little bit more friendly for Instagram, and also remove some of the white boats there that I kind of think take away too much attention. There's a bit too much white here, but yeah, I mean the whites here I removed in the tower part are completely removed, and the boats, well, I could have to learn to live with them. So okay, that's it for this video. I hope you got something from my process and my thoughts of how I processed this image. I'll see you in the next video. All right, so bye for now.